Still working on a batch of folders from the last video, trying to get everything profiled. As you know from the last video, my heat oven went out, so I'm waiting on parts for that. We've got some bad weather on the way, so we'll see. One of the things I like to do when I'm profiling folders or even straight blades, and I'm working up in grits, is I come in here and I take a marker and mark all the edges before I move up to the next grit. That way I can see the previous scratches. I'm working these up to about 600 grit, and of course I've got a lot of work left to do on these, but while I'm profiling, I try to catch everything I can up high enough grit to where it's less work later. Now I've dropped back because of my oven being out of service, and I'm working on two folders, a twist Damascus clip point and a liner lock. But while I am working on those in this stage, I go ahead and catch them all. That way it's done. I'm just being efficient and trying to save some time later on down the road when I do get the oven going. So I've got a little left to do here, and I'll be moving on to the next step. So I've been waiting on my new controller to come in, and it's here. So now I'm going to go ahead and start tearing out the old one, change the thermocouple, see if I can get this working, because I need it. Go ahead and take the wires loose here off of the controller. It's kind of hard to work it this way, but I think I'm going to get it. And she's out of there. I'm going to get these thermocouples out of here. I don't know why I make these boxes so small, trying to cram everything in here. Doesn't make it easy to work on. Well, I'm glad this has boxes inside this paper bag, or I would probably just send it back. That must be the thermocouple. That's her. Comes with an extra SSR. Go ahead and buy the kit. That way I have extra spares. And this is a thermocouple that I will not be using, but it's a spare. It wouldn't work in my oven. It's too short anyway. New ceramic thermocouple. That's what we want. All right, get this thing over there and get it installed. Well, I went through an auto-tune cycle here and just holding it 300 degrees. It's auto-tuning, but I've got to do some adjusting on the process variables. I don't want it to really control that tight because I don't want it cycling my SSRs that much and wear them out. It can float a couple degrees, and I just need to get in here and do a little tuning, but so far so good. Raise the temperature a little bit here. Let's go to 400. Should get a steady output here. There it goes. Like I said, I got to do some tuning there to get this process variable just right. I'll get those blades in there and get them heat treated, and I'll drop back on the other two folders once they're done. Well, if the image quality looks different, that's because it is. Because I have broke yet another camera. This one is loaned to me, so I have to replace it and buy myself another camera. The one I'm using is an ancient pocket camera thing. Shoots only in 1080p, so I'm not going to get anything above 1080p out of it. So the image quality sucks, and I'm sure the audio quality is sucking too. But this is really a bummer. It's why I don't like to ever borrow anything. And this one was loaned to me, and it's really sad because, for one, it was, a friend's camera, and I have to replace it too. I was setting up a shot, a light stand fell, hit the tripod, knocked the camera over, and I was doing an acrobatic split trying to catch it with my foot, and it went over my leg and hit camera first. I might have done better off not trying to save it from falling. But the good news is the oven is working good. I'm about to start cutting pockets on the frames of these frame locks, the bearing pockets. Then I'll come back and cut the pivot head pockets. And we're also in the middle of a blizzard in South Louisiana. We already have about 5 inches of snow. This don't happen very often here, 7, 8 years apart, something like that. We get hard freezes, but not snowstorms. All right, I got the bearing pockets cut, and I went ahead and cut the pivot head pockets. So now what I want to do is I've got to cut the lock bars, but I need to punch some start and stop holes here. It makes it a lot easier to line it up over at the mill, and just a little cleaner. I wish I had these water jetted. It really look nice, have a little small radius up there. I cut them in with a file sometimes, and just depends on how it works out when I'm done with the mill work. But I've got a 5/64 bit in here, and it's slightly larger than my abrasive disc that I cut the lock bar with. I'm sure I'm glad I got the wood heater, because it's like 27 degrees outside. We've got about 6 inches of snow, and it's perfect in here. I like it cool, so just something to break the chill, having that wood heater. Now, I burnt a good bit of wood today, but sure is nice. Now, I always deburr after I drill holes, but if you notice, this one I drilled first was hanging off of where it rests on this 1, 2, 3 block. But if it would have been on it, I would have had to deburr it before I drilled this other hole. Otherwise, I've got a, angled hole there. But I'll go deburr this one and do the rest of them. So I got all the blades heat treated. Now I'm getting ready to do some straightening. AEBL is notorious for warping. They're not bad, but they're enough that I don't like it. And I've made some marks on them here where I need to straighten them. And I'll be using a carbide hammer to do that. And immediately after I got the blades hardened, did the cold treatment and all the tempering, that takes all day long with stainless. It does for me anyway. I settled in for the night, and something hit me, and you can probably tell in my voice. And so I've been out of the shop for 3 days, down with some kind of crazy bug, and I'm still not out of the woods. So I said, I got to get out here today and do something. My bills have to be paid, and I want to get this video out. I know it's going to be a little late, and it probably won't be the greatest either, as none of them are. But so I'm gonna get these straightened out, and then I'm probably gonna start cutting pivot pin lengths and stop pins and all that stuff, and cutting the lock bars. But first, we'll get this done. I can't say enough how much coffee is helping me right now. I can't really taste it, but it's helping. But just to show you here, you can see how freely it spins on this flat plate here, and it's grabbing here. So I could push down on it, and
and look under and see where it stops at. So it's right along in here, and I do that with each one of them. And if you don't know how a carbide hammer works, on the side that's bent up or warped up is where you're going to want to hit. You're not bending it down. You're displacing metal or pushing the metal to force it to move and bend. So it's just kind of the opposite of thinking that you're going to bend it. You're pushing metal. So I'm going to be hitting on the side that is bent up using a carbide tipped hammer. And the carbide's harder than the steel is, and it'll push it down. Now you have to be careful. I've broke blades doing this. They're tempered. You don't want to do this, on a blade that's not been tempered. But I've broke them even tempered. And you get too close to the spine or somewhere and hit too much, your possibilities go up for cracking it. This is not the ideal way to do it, but it works. It goes back to the Japanese did this with their swords, but they didn't necessarily use carbide, but that's how they would straighten them. But you can try to do this in tempering. Of course, when I went to temper them, they was flat as flitter. The warp kind of happened during temper, so yeah, I have to take that out of the equation here as a fix. So anyway, this might be a little loud. I'll show you how it goes. All right, that one seems to be pretty straight. It looks good, and that'll do it. Get all these other ones done and move on to the next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting the pivot links. And the way I normally do this is set it up in a collet block in my mill vise and put the pin in a collet, and then I set an end mill up in my mill and cut straight down, plunge cut down to where I need it to be. That is the cleanest method in my opinion. It takes a little longer to set up, but it works great. But if you don't have a mill, here's the other way to do it. And it's a lot faster, and if you hold it square, it works fine. So I've got a mark on my pivot. You probably can't see it. And I'm gonna just turn my grinder on here. I've got a 120 grit belt, and I'm gonna cut down to my line and then down about 3/1000ths, because I wanna be a little under flush where the pivot comes through the frame. That way the pivot head won't just spin the pivot. It'll actually tighten down on it. So now that I'm very close, I'm going to take a pivot lap, which this is pretty rude and crude. It's just a flat piece of steel with a pivot size hole drilled in it, 3/16 for this one. I have them for different sizes. And you can buy these, and they're a lot fancier from places like, I think USA Knife Maker has them, and they're a lot nicer. And if you want to spend the money, but I just set it down on my lap plate, and I've got some sandpaper here, and I just put a little pressure on it and move it around, get it good and square, and it'll take off some as I go, and till I get it right where I want it. I don't want to take off too much, so I take it easy when I get close and just lap it in the rest of the way. I'll do the same thing with that stop pin. And this works pretty good. And it gets it good and nice and square and polished there. So got that one fitting up nicely. Everything good and centered and tight. It's the way it ought to be. This is the twisted Damascus clip point. And at this time, I'm going to drop back and focus just on this one and the liner lock, stainless drop point liner lock. I need to get these two finished and out. Then I'll drop back, catch the 4 stainless blades after I finish these. But this cold has got me kind of wore down. I think I'm going to shut her down for now and take a break. Maybe tomorrow be in better shape to get something actually done. It's been a crazy couple days, breaking cameras, controllers going out, all that kind of stuff. But that's just the way it is in the knife shop. It's always something. You got to fix it, move on. It's just like any day job. But I want to thank my patrons, and I want to thank you for watching and hanging out. Another day in the shop, and we'll see you on the next one.